Thank you for joining me on this adventure. Your presence means the world to me. Greetings, explorers of knowledge. Join us as we embark on a quest to understand Marianne Cope. Marianne Cope, O.S.F, also known as Marianne of Molokai, January 23, 1838, August 9, 1918, was a German-born American religious sister who was a member of the Sisters of St. Francis of Syracuse, New York, and founding director of its St. Joseph's Hospital in the city, among the first of 50 general hospitals in the country. In 1883, she led a group of 6 other sisters to the Kingdom of Hawaii to care for persons suffering leprosy on the island of Molokaʻi and aid in developing the medical infrastructure in Hawaii. Despite direct contact with the patients over many years, Cope did not contract the disease. In 2005, Marianne was beatified by decision of Pope Benedict XVI. She was canonized, declared a saint by the same Pope on October 21, 2012, along with Kateri Tekakwitha, a 17th Native American. Cope was the 11th Catholic active in what is now the United States to be canonized by the Catholic Church. Let's zoom in on birth and vocation and understand its implications. She was born Barbara Cope, later anglicized to Cope, on January 23, 1838. In Heppenheim in the Grand Duchy of Hesse to Peter Cope and his wife Barbara Witzenbacher. The following year her family emigrated to the United States, settling in the industrial city of Utica, New York. They became members of the parish of St. Joseph, where Barbara attended parish school. By the time she was in 8th grade, her father had developed a disability. As the oldest child, Barbara left school to work in a textile factory to support her family. The family became naturalized as American citizens in the years. Cope received her first Holy Communion and confirmation at the historic Old St. John's Church in Utica, New York. By the time that their father died in 1862, the younger children in the family were of age to support themselves, so Barbara pursued her long-felt religious calling. She entered the novitiate of the Sisters of the Third Order Regular of St. Francis in Syracuse, New York. After a year of formation, Cope received the religious habit of the Franciscan sisters and the new name Marianne. She became first a teacher and then a principal in newly established schools for the region's German-speaking immigrants. Following the revolutions of 1848, more German Catholic immigrants entered the United States. By 1870, Cope had become a member of the governing council of her religious congregation. She helped found the first 2 Catholic hospitals in central New York, with charters stipulating that medical care was to be provided to all, regardless of race or creed. She was appointed by the Superior General to govern St. Joseph's Hospital, the first public hospital in Syracuse, serving from 1870 to 1877. As a hospital administrator, Cope became involved with the move of Geneva Medical College of Hobart College from Geneva, New York, to Syracuse, where it became the College of Medicine at Syracuse University. She contracted with the college to accept their students for treating patients in her hospital to further their medical education. Her stipulation in the contract, again unique for the period, was the right of the patients to refuse care by the students. These experiences helped prepare her for the special ministry she next pursued. Get ready for an exciting part as we dive into Call to Hawaii. In 1883, Mother Marianne Cope, by then Superior General of the congregation, received a plea for help from King Kalkaua of Hawaii to care for leprosy sufferers. More than 50 religious congregations had already declined his request for sisters to do this because leprosy was considered to be highly contagious. She responded enthusiastically to the letter. I am hungry for the work and I wish with all my heart to be one of the chosen ones, whose privilege it will be to sacrifice themselves for the salvation of the souls of the poor islanders. I am not afraid of any disease, hence it would be my greatest delight even to minister to the abandoned lepers. Cope departed from Syracuse with 6 other sisters to travel to Honolulu to answer this call, arriving on November 8, 1883. They traveled on the SS Mariposa. With Mother Marianne as a supervisor, the sisters' task was to manage Keikaiku Branch Hospital on Oahu, which served as a receiving station for Hansen's disease patients gathered from all over the islands. The more severe cases were processed and shipped to the island of Molokai for confinement in the settlement at Kalawao, and then later at Kalapapa. The following year, at the government's request, Cope set up Molokaʻi Hospital, the first general hospital on the island of Maui. Soon, she was called back to the hospital in Oahu. She had to deal with a government-appointed administrator's maltreatment of the leprosy patients at the branch hospital at Keikaiku, an area adjoining Honolulu. She told the government that either the administrator had to be dismissed or the sisters would return to Syracuse. She was given charge of the overcrowded hospital. Her return to Syracuse to reassume governance of the congregation was delayed, as both the government and church authorities thought she was essential to the mission's success. 2 years later, the king awarded Mother Marianne with the Cross of a Companion of the Royal Order of Kapiolani for her care of his people. The work continued to increase. In November 1885, she opened the Kapiolani home with the government's support to provide shelter to homeless female children of leprosy patients. The home was located on a leprosy hospital's grounds because only the sisters were willing to care for children so closely associated with people suffering from leprosy. In 1887, a new government came into office. It ended the forced exile of leprosy patients to Molokai and closed the specialty hospital in Oahu. A year later, the authorities pleaded with the sisters to establish a new home for women and girls on the Kalapapa Peninsula of Molokai. Marianne accepted the call, knowing that it might mean she would never return to New York. "We will cheerfully accept the work," was her response. As we embark on the next leg of our journey, let's unpack the layers of Molokai and examine its core elements. In November 1888, Marianne moved to the Charles R. Bishop Home for Unprotected Leper Girls and Women on Kalapapa. She cared for the dying Father Damien Soka, who was already known internationally for his work in the leper colony and began to take over his burdens. She had met him shortly after her arrival in Hawaii. In 1879, Father Damien had established a home at Kalawao for boys and elderly men. Most of the work of the home fell to Joseph Dutton. When Damien died on April 15, 1889, the government officially gave Mother Marianne charge of care of the boys along with her current role in caring for the colony's female residents. The Board of Health provided a horse and carriage for the sisters to use in traveling between Kalapapa and Kalawao. The sisters generally supervised the domestic operations. In 1892, a prominent local businessman, Henry Perini Baldwin, donated money for the new home, which was named after him. A community of religious brothers was sought to come and care for the boys. After the arrival of 4 Brothers of the Sacred Heart in 1895, Mother Marianne withdrew the sisters to the Bishop Home for leprous women and girls. Joseph Dutton was given charge of Baldwin House by the government. Without further ado, let's move on to the topic of death. Marianne Cope died of natural causes on August 9, 1918. She was buried on the grounds of the Bishop Home. In 2005, her remains were brought to Syracuse for reinterment at her mother house. In 2014, her remains were returned to Honolulu and are enshrined at the Cathedral Basilica of Our Lady of Peace. Now, we shift our focus to legacy and honors, a topic that deserves our attention. 1927 St. Francis Hospital was founded in Honolulu in her memory as a community hospital and trained nurses to work with Hansen's disease patients. 1957 St. Francis opened a Child Development Center at the Honolulu Community Church. 1962 St. Francis Home Care Services was established, the first in Hawaii to specialize in home health care for Hawaiian people. 2005 Induction into the National Women's Hall of Fame. 2006 The Sisters of St. Francis chose to focus on long-term care, transferring St. Francis hospitals to facilities to a private board. The facilities are now known as the Hawaii Medical Center East in Liliha and Hawaii Medical Center West in Ua. Both hospitals were closed at the end of 2011. In August 2012, the Queen's Health Systems agreed to acquire the former Hawaiʻi Medical Center West and reopen the hospital in the fall of 2013. The St. Francis School was founded in Cope's honor in 1924, operating as a girls-only school for grades. The community which Cope founded on Molokai continues to minister to the few patients who have Hansen disease. The Franciscan sisters work at several schools and minister to parishioners throughout the Hawaiian Islands. As we venture forward, let's examine beatification in detail and gain a deeper appreciation for its significance. In 1993, Catherine Delia Mahoney was allegedly healed from multiple organ failure after praying to Marianne Cope for intercession. On October 24, 2003, the Congregation for the Causes of Saints declared Marianne Cope to have been heroically virtuous. On April 19, 2004, Pope John Paul II issued a decree declaring her venerable. On December 20, 2004, after receiving the unanimous affirmation of the Congregation of the Causes of Saints, Pope John Paul II ordered a decree to be issued authenticating this recovery as a miracle to be attributed to the intercession of Cope. On May 14, 2005, Marianne Cope was beatified in Vatican City by decision of Pope Benedict XVI. Over 100 followers from Hawaii attended the beatification Mass, along with 300 members of Cope's religious congregation in Syracuse. At the Mass, presided over by Cardinal Jose Saraiva Martins, the Hawaiian song Makalapua favorite of Cope was sung. Her feast day was established as January 23 and is celebrated by her own religious congregation, the Diocese of Honolulu, and the Diocese of Syracuse. After the announcement by the Holy See of her impending beatification, during January 2005, Mother Marianne's remains were moved to the Mother House of the congregation in Syracuse. A temporary shrine was established to honor her, and by 2009, the erection of a marble sarcophagus in the Mother House Chapel was complete. Her remains were interred in the new shrine on her feast day of January 23. In 2007, a statue of her was erected at St. Joseph's Church in her native Utica, whose parish school she had attended as a child. Now, let's shift our perspective and explore canonization through a fresh lens, unlocking new perspectives. On December 6, 2011, the Congregation for the Causes of Saints found that a second miracle could also be attributed to the intercession of Cope. This finding was presented to Pope Benedict XVI for his approval by Cardinal Angelo Amato. On December 19, 2011, Pope Benedict signed and approved the promulgation of the decree for Marianne Cope's canonization, which took place on October 21, 2012. A relic was carried to Honolulu from her mother church. Dr. Waldry Hillman was the postulator of the cause of canonization. After Father Damien, Mother Marianne Cope is the second person to be canonized who had served in the Hawaiian Islands. She was both the first beatification and the last canonization under Pope Benedict XVI. In 2014, the Church announced that St. Marianne's remains would be reinterred at the Cathedral of Our Lady of Peace in Honolulu, a more convenient location for the faithful than the Kalapapa National Historical Park on Molokai, where access is primarily by plane or mule train. Street Marianne sometimes attended Mass at the cathedral, and it was where Father Damien was ordained. In New York, the Franciscan convent which held her remains moved to a new location because its former buildings needed extensive repairs. With that being said, let's now move on to ecumenical veneration. Cope is honored jointly with Saint Damien of Molokai on the liturgical calendar of the Episcopal Church USA. Their shared feast day is celebrated on April 15. Now, let's shift our attention to in arts and media. Paul Cox directed the film Molokai, the story of Father Damien, 1999. Marianne Cope was portrayed by South African actress Alice Krige. Father Damien was portrayed by David Wenham. I'm here to provide you with the best information, so let me know what else you'd like to learn about.